Penguin Random House presents Losing My Virginity and Other Dumb Ideas by Madhuri Banerjee. Read by Monaz Ranina. As long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. I will survive. Gloria Gaynor. Chapter 1. I looked across at the other table and saw a couple kissing passionately. Great, I thought. Even girls half my age are getting laid. I went back to sipping my coffee and reading the papers. 1st April, my birthday, I had turned 30. The cruel irony of being born on April Fool's Day had haunted me all my life, but today I really felt like a fool. I was alone in my favorite coffee shop, Cafe Day, which had these lovely, bright, mismatched chairs, sofas and cushions. And yes, it served the best coffee, and no one disturbed me. I was there almost every day, having my muffin and cappuccino, reading the papers or a book, or just working on my laptop, on some new assignment. The great thing about this cafe was that it was open from 5 in the morning to late at night. So I could be there from dawn to midnight, as I generally was most days of the week. And today was my birthday. It was 7 in the morning. I ran down to have a pick-me-up before the calls would start coming, and I would need to sound cherry, only to find a couple already making out. Jesus! Couldn't I have some alone time on my birthday at least? Thoughts ran through my head. "You're old now," said the little voice. "You're all alone. And everyone needs someone to love, someone to share their lives with, someone to grow old with, someone to have sex with." Sex, sex, sex. It all came down to that. Here I was, 30 years old and still a virgin. Unmarried, single, alone, a virgin, a virgin. Yes, it resonated in my head. Nope, I couldn't get away from that word. So for long as I had thought it was okay to be one, a virgin, I believed that I would find the right man who would cherish me and I would treasure him. The one great love that would blind me into losing my virginity after we got married. But that was the spiel I had given myself for over 15 years. And my mother, even though we never spoke about sex, because God knows that's just a taboo topic, would have been proud of me. But today, I felt old, and that theory didn't work. On the brighter side, though, I didn't look my age. I did have a few layers of fat around my belly, but nothing a good shirt couldn't camouflage. The extent of my exercising was a Jane Fonda DVD I had acquired a decade ago, which I would put on and jump around to for 45 minutes every week. I had shoulder-length black hair and olive skin, and I had beautiful eyes. They came from my grandmother. It was a lovely shade of grey, and because of them, people could never figure out if I was Indian or South American. But despite my hair, skin, and eyes, I had never had a real date in my life. So here's the thing. Men elude me. I've read all the books about men and how to get a date, but I've never really had a steady boyfriend. After the first 5 minutes, I feel the man is really stupid, extremely juvenile, or highly pretentious. I have an IQ that's mildly putting it above average. I might have given me the title of overachiever in school, but never gave me a boyfriend. Frankly, I did not think I even needed one. I was too busy achieving things in life to have a man ruin it. I played the piano, I learnt animation, and I studied modern art for fun in my spare time. I knew 7 different languages, which brings me to what I do. I'm a freelancer, interpreter. What that actually means is that I translate languages for people. For example, from French to Hindi, or Spanish to English, or Russian to French. The embassies call me to help them translate important documents from their native language to ours, to Indianize it. Or when they hold a conference, I am the one the Indians would hear on their headphones translating a particular speaker's speech. Or when delegates from different countries come, I help translate talks between dignitaries, like when Lalu Prasad Yadav had to meet the railway minister of Russia. I was called to help translate their conversation. It was another matter that I could barely understand what Mr. Yadav was saying and probably translated what I thought he should have said. Most times, I'm a guide for important delegates, wives or families. I love my job. even though it can become very erratic. It pays well and I get to meet some interesting people from around the globe. And it helps that I live in the melting pot of India, Mumbai. My parents currently live in Bangalore. My dad's in the foreign service and we've moved around a lot. That's why I know 7 languages, because of different countries I grew up in. Finally, when I was old enough to say I'm done with moving, I left them in Moscow and moved to Mumbai. It was strange at first, trying to find a footing in this city. Mumbai was definitely a harder place to be in than Russia, America or France put together. But it gave me so much more than all the other countries, and that's why I decided to stay here and make it my home 8 years ago. I stay in a rented 1-bedroom apartment in Bandra. It's grossly overpriced and there's no view, but I completely love it. I've done it the way I see art through the ages. From Renaissance to Cubism, with colors and images jumping out from every corner, something like this cafe. And that's why I'm sitting here to collect my thoughts on my birthday. I felt like an extension of home, which is why I was irritated that a couple of teenagers and I decided to meet here before going off to college and were sucking on each other's pimples. The topic of my virginity came back again. I had always been a social recluse. I didn't have many friends, and the only people I spoke to outside my close circle were clients. I always had a hard time opening up to strangers. I seldom found a deep connection with anyone, and that is why I was still to lose my virginity. And if that wasn't enough reason, I was mortified about getting pregnant or ending up with a life-threatening disease. Protection wasn't always 100% foolproof, and I wasn't willing to take any chances. But today I feel it was time. The time had come to change. I could feel a wave of a revolution coming over me. Sex and the relationships could be 2 different things. I should forget about understanding men and just have sex with them. That's why my head was saying, who said age doesn't play with one's hormones? Today mine were raging like the blazing dry lands. In Wisconsin, the phone rang. It was my best friend, Aditi. Happy April Fool's Day, babe. What are you doing? Aditi had been my friend for the last 8 years. She was the first friend I had in Mumbai, and it was the most awesome meeting ever. I had taken the First Lady of France to see a film shoot and help her interpret Hindi and Bollywood better. Aditi was the assistant director running around trying to get a particular hat for the lead actress. While the director was screaming his head off, she noticed the First Lady's hat and quickly came over and asked her to take it off and hand it to her. I was appalled and didn't know how to translate this galling request. But Aditi said very firmly, I don't care who you are, but I'm part of a megacore industry and I will lose my job if I don't get that hat now. So the First Lady took it off. After I translated that Aditi had said, a toned-down version of course, and gave it to her, we got an umbrella to shield us from the sun, and Aditi returned the hat after the shoot. Later, Aditi took us around the set and introduced us to the superstar of Bollywood. The First Lady said she had never had so much fun, and Aditi and I exchanged numbers and have been friends ever since. Having coffee? I replied to her blandly. Intravenously? No re, at CDs. Sipping the usual strong cappuccino, I said, what plans for today? Anyone plan a surprise 30th birthday party for you? She mocked, knowing that I had very few friends. Nothing much, no delegates in April, so I'm broke. You poor thing. That is a terrible April Fool's joke that God is playing on you. So let me treat you tonight. What say? Aditi asked. Okay, I replied. And then, as an afterthought, I also have some news, I said enthusiastically. I finally made up my mind about the problem I had. What problem? Aditi asked. My virginity, I whispered, cupping the mobile phone so no one could hear. Ah, that problem. If you remember, I've been telling you since the last century that you should do something about that, she said, laughing at her own joke. I'm serious. Really, I need help. Okay, we should not waste any more time then. I mean, it's already been 3 decades, and she laughed again, while I cringed. Let's make it happen tonight. Let's de-virginize you.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?